came on the market. You know, a perfectly normal-looking guy. And then here is G.I. Joe from the 1990s, who, as you can see, has now been spending serious time at the gym, has a full six-pack of abdominals, 16.5-inch arms, and even a slightly mean expression on his face. So that these, I think, are a testimony to the sort of increasing emphasis on male body image that has happened over this span of time. And it's not confined just to G.I. Joe either. Take a look, for example, at Luke Skywalker. This is Luke Skywalker at the time that the original Star Wars movie came out in 1980. And here, by comparison, is Luke Skywalker when Star Wars was reissued 16 years later in 1996. And it's even said anecdotally that Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, upon picking up the 1996 version of himself, was said to have remarked, "Good God, they've put me on steroids."
What started this obsession with fantasy physiques? In the 1970s, bodybuilding became red hot, and the world began to see bodies they had never seen before.
Let's go. Come on, get that pumping. Remember, time is muscle. Come on, girl. Let's go, let's do it. Do it. Do it. Again and again.
Steve Mihalich won just about everything in the American bodybuilding scene. He doesn't claim to have kick-started the phenomenon, but knows who did.
The turning point in all of bodybuilding was one word and one word only: Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger changed bodybuilding and made it prominent. Why? Because not only did Arnold have muscles, but he had personality. He was, you know, he was funny, he was friendly. He had that star quality, which brought attention to him and then thus brought attention to us.
These were the Beatles of the beefcake world. Steve was one of the few people to beat Arnie on stage, and he saw the storm created around him. Their rock-hard bodies gave them rock star lives.
Well, it was kind of a fun time, brings a smile to my face. There were those groupies. We would travel around the country, especially in the Grand Prix tours. We would travel around the different states and stuff and do the Grand Prix contest, and there'd be new fans and groupies in every state. Not unlike with rock stars. I mean, it was pretty incredible. I've had my exciting times. Of course, my wife knows none of that, so I'm not going to say too much about it.
Their bodies became Hollywood fantasies that echoed through the years. Today, young men still want that glamour and those muscles.
He was obsessed with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I want to see the world, want to experience things, and bodybuilding's my ticket to that.
Joe Middleton worships at the shrine of Steve and Arnie. While other boys dream of playing in the Premiership or starting a band, Joe thinks his ticket to fame and fortune is extreme muscle.
My dream is to be the Mr. Olympia, to stand up on that stage, to get the medal and to be proclaimed as the best in the world. And it's all related to what Arnold Schwarzenegger has done with his life.
Joe's chosen a tough teenage life.
My personal and social life has suffered. Since I left school, I haven't really kept in contact with anyone from school. So yeah, you know, become more of a loner in that respect. But in my eyes, it's all going to pay off, and it will be worth it.
When he got to secondary school and he had a hard time, I think there was quite a lot of bullying at school and people trying to drag him down the wrong path.
You know, when I close my eyes at night, my dream is to be on top of the bodybuilding stage is the best. I also, you know, would love to go into acting, just as Arnold done, and then maybe politics. I don't know.
Joe wants to follow in Arnie and Steve's footsteps, but he might not realise his heroes had some help. When Arnold Schwarzenegger and Steve Mihalich found the competitive bar getting higher, they turned to steroids.
Now you got two choices. You can do 100 of these squats, or you can stick steroid needles in your butt. Let's see who quits.
I won 22 titles, including Mr. USA, Most Muscle Man USA, and Mr. America, absolutely clean. No steroids, okay? And a friend of mine said, come on over to Europe and why don't you come over and just take a look at the guys and spend some time in Europe. So I spent some time in Europe, and he convinced me to take some steroids against my better judgment. You know, a time of weakness. He says, listen, you train so hard. He said, imagine what you'd look like if you took steroids the way you train. I said, well, I don't know. I never did this before. He says, yeah, just try a little bit. See, there's the mistake. There's no little bit. That's the problem with this stuff. People say it isn't addictive. It absolutely is absolutely addictive. We all did this. But to speak to our defense, not that it was right or wrong, we were given this stuff basically by doctors back then who didn't know that there was any harsh side effects or anything. We basically were being used for guinea pigs.
Today, doctors don't issue steroids to sportsmen and women, but usage has risen enormously as young hopefuls face increasing pressure and temptations.
If it was in front of you, and you were going to be a pro baseball player. Now, I don't know about soccer in Europe, but in baseball, you got guys making $20 million a year. If you had a son, and your son says, Dad, they're scouting me, they want to sign me, but you know what? They're telling me I got to get bigger, stronger, faster. I got to take a little something, Dad. I got to take something. What do you say to your kid? Would you rather have your kid on heroin? Would you rather have your kid on performance enhancer steroids?
The idea of giving your child steroids may seem bizarre, but back in England, one parent has done just that.
And he come to me and said, look, Dad, if I do decide to go for this show, I am going to use the gear, so I'm asking you, what should I use? I ain't going to turn my son down knowing full well that he could have gone the other way.
In the north of England, Mick Hart has established himself as the unofficial voice of steroid use. He produces a controversial pro-steroid magazine, banned on the high street, but still scoring 6,000 readers.
Good afternoon, Mick Hart Training.
He's revered and reviled in equal measure. For some, he's an advice centre. For others, he's a dangerous presence.
There's many ways that you can I know you can test them and stuff like that, but really, you didn't want to be buying stuff you're not sure about. Your mate, where's your mate jabbing? In his arms? Right. And his arms aren't any bigger? No, God, sorry, mate. Then I'm doing my job then. The no bull's supposed to shock you, man. So if anybody's jabbing in their arms, why on earth then, why the fucking hell should you be jabbing in your arse expecting your arms to get bigger, but your arse is not getting bigger? You know they know that they can rely on me to tell them the truth, or as the truth as close as I can get it. They like the fact that they can ask the question. They like the fact that they've got somebody there who they can turn to. And I'm proud of that. Ta-ra, mate. Bye. All the scare stories and side effects, the problems and hair losses and skin problems and aggression are all done by over-abuse, over-usage, as it were.
Mick's so sure of his own knowledge that he was happy to guide his son Chris on a steroid experiment.
You go beyond yourself, I suppose, in your training, that's when it really bites. I think if I actually start to eat a little bit better and put a bit more structure towards my training routine itself, I'll be able to progress a little bit further. When you start to see those next few more gains, you think, maybe I could do a little bit more with this. And having the added advantage of a father like I've got, having that knowledge, that backup, you know, there was really no reason why I shouldn't have seen how far I could go as far as competitive bodybuilding.
Mick's regime was so successful that Chris went from this to this in the space of a year. His success story was published in the Chris